Good morning, everybody, and happy fall, y'all, like they say in the South. Today, we're going to be painting a pumpkin. I have the traced pumpkin on my little piece of canvas here. And we're going to be working with some golden products. I'm going to be using some raw umber, primary magenta, terra verde hue, which is a green color, and these two are my brand new favorite colors. Mars yellow ochre, and like always, titanium white. You'll notice that the first four colors are on a white tube with black, and this one says slow drying acrylic. I like to use these for my mixing because it gives me a chance to work a little bit longer with my paints. So I'll be painting this little pumpkin, and if anybody would like to paint at home along with me, you can buy the kit. The kits this month are all on sale for $15, and it would include your line drawing, your canvas, your paints, a color picture, and my email, so that if you have any questions, you can ask me anything you want. So I'm going to remove my paints here like magic and put my canvas on my paper here. Now, these are all the colors that I just showed you. And since it's fall, I'm going to put this here and this to the side so that you can see everything I am doing. See that? I'll put this straight so that you don't have it crooked. So if you notice, here I've noticed there's so many different kinds of pumpkins. Some of them are blue, some of them are yellow. It's just wild, all the different colors, and some of them are a lot more fall looking than the ones that we had growing up in Florida. The vegetation here is just awesome. So I'm gonna, enjoy some of the pumpkins that they have here, and we're gonna do these truly fall looking colors, okay? So I went ahead and put all the little lines on my pumpkin, and I did the background with a little bit of the yellow and white and a little bit of the green and white. So you don't have to see me do that. If you order the kit, I'll have the background already in there for you, so you can go right ahead and paint. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with my lighter color always, which is my yellow. And I very rarely use water with my paints. So I'm going to take my yellow and just very lightly brush my pumpkin. See that? And I'm using a long handle brush for the video. A lot of people like to paint standing up. Others like to paint sitting down. Either one for me. I don't care. It depends on if I'm teaching or if I'm painting just for myself. So see, as I'm doing my stroke work here, see that I am following, and you got to watch your long handles if you're videotaping that you don't hit the camera, right? So I'm going very, very soft here with my colors first, because I don't want to lose my little lines that I so patiently traced. Because those of you who know me know that patience is not one of my best areas. So, and this happens to be a silver ruby satin number 6. So if you go and take your time with this and don't rush it, you're gonna see how much texture you'll get. And all I'm doing is going up and down the same shape of my pumpkin. And this yellow is a little bit transparent, which is great. And we're gonna come in here. This is the darkest part because this is where that little stem comes out. So we're gonna just fill that in. See that? Okay, so now we have some basic colors on there. And if you were to look closely, you would almost see lines in my pumpkin that look just natural because that's the way pumpkins grow, right? Always paint in the direction of the design. So if you're doing a pumpkin, you know that the pumpkin is going to be long, paint up and down. And try to paint each area that you're doing separately. Some people just put paint all over the place and then you lose your lines and you're looking for it. If you take your time and do it slowly, you can cover everything. Now, when I teach my students how to paint, I always tell them to think of things as a shape, right? So this is kind of like an O. If you look at it, it's kind of like an O. And when we're going to shade, if you think about it, picture your design in the middle. So this is your right, this is your left. Everything on the right is going to look like a C upside down, and this is going to be like an open C. And that's where you know you're going to be shading so that it has a nice curve. People always make the mistake of shading and putting the darker color in here and wonder why the pumpkin doesn't look dark. And it's because the darks should be on this side and the light ones in the front. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a little bit of that Mars yellow and I'm going to come from the top and put some of that on my pumpkin. And I don't necessarily have to cover every little area, right? And I haven't dipped my brush in the water yet. You don't need to either. So this brush still has a little bit of my original color. So I'm going to go on the bottom a little bit darker, right? Because when it gets to the top, it gets a little bit lighter. And I'm putting all my darker colors against this pencil line right here. See that? I'm going to do it very exaggerated. But I'm going to take that, see that? And can you see it already shading a little bit? Then in the back, these are going to be a little bit darker because this is where they curve. So I'm going to come closest to the stem and put my darks in. And have it blend down, just like that. Okay, now let's do the same thing with the other side. I'm gonna come here and put my darks behind those little lines. Come here, and this is all in the back of our lines. And that makes it curve a little bit better. Well, I would say a lot better, right? And I really believe that any of us can learn how to paint if we just practice and give ourselves a little bit of time to learn the basics. From there, you can, go on. I've taken classes with a lot of great teachers, and I've developed my own style of painting. And you'll do the same thing. A lot of my students, it's so cool to see how they're developing their own style and paint like you like. There's nothing that you can do to mess this up. And if you do, paint it over and start all over again. When you see me doing videos and everything, you'd see the good side of me. Oh, yeah, she can paint in 2 seconds. What you don't see is my trash can sometimes with the stuff that didn't work out. But that's why I try it, and you can learn from my mistakes. Now, when I'm loading my paint, see how much paint I have in my palette? But I only take a little bit. People have the mistake of coming right up here and grabbing their paint. If you grab it from here and just grab a little tad of it, it will go a long way. So we want this pumpkin in the front to be the lightest. Okay, so I'm going to come up here. And this on the bottom is going to be dark so that my light on top is a little bit lighter, right? And if any of you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, Chris Cruz Designs, please do so, because the more people that look, I guess the more they put it out there, and it's great for people to learn. So right now it's really looking good. It looks like a pumpkin, but we want to Now highlight and darken a little bit more. We're gonna put a stem in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of my Mars yellow, sorry, and my raw umber, and I'm gonna come up here. And usually the stems are green, but I'm gonna put a little bit of brown in here so that I have a shade. And I'm gonna take some of that green that I'm just loving so much, that Terra Verde hue, and I'm gonna put it in here. It's very transparent. On here it doesn't look at it on your palette, but if you see, you can barely see the green, but it just gives you a highlight against all the, see the green right there? It's a very good shading green. Okay, so we have a stem. I'm gonna clean my brush because now I wanna start highlighting and shading a little bit more. So what I wanna do is I wanna make this top area here darker and then the front lighter. So in order to do that, I'm gonna take my Mars yellow, and I'm gonna put a little bit of this red in there to make it a little bit darker. See that? You don't need a lot. And I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna hold my brush straight up and bring that red down. And if I use just the tip of my brush, you can almost see the little curves of the pumpkin a lot more. See that? I like the way this is coming out. I don't know about you, but I'm liking it. Now in here, I want this to be really dark. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this color again with my red, and I'm gonna take a little bit of my brown, and I'm not gonna mix them there. I'm gonna mix them over here because I wanna keep that color pure. And I'm just gonna put some of that dark in here so that we know that pumpkin has a stem that is all kind of uneven. See that? And I'll bring some of that brown down and just walk it out. When you walk it out, I'm gonna go very slow and show you. Just take the tip of your brush and just very softly, I'm not putting a lot of pressure in my brush. The softer you do it, the more texture you're gonna get. See that? And you don't want even here. See that? A lot of people do that mistake. They have like a little haircut up there, and it's like, oh geez, what happened? So you don't want globs like this. What you want to do is walk it out. Go with the tip of your brush very slowly. See that? And walk it out. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that Mars red again with my Mars yellow with my red. And I'm going to come in here and highlight that a little bit, because the pumpkins have a little red in them, don't they? Well, the ones here anyway. And does anybody ever buy pumpkins and boil them and eat them with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper? They're really good. Okay, so my pumpkin is getting dark, which is what I want. And I'm gonna come here. Oh, that was my little cat saying hello. That's Sophia. Had to see which one it was that was talking. So now I have this here coming up. Okay. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I love the texture that this has. It's looking very natural. So now I'm going to rinse my brush out, and I want to bring some highlights to the front here. And my Old Faithful titanium white. Oh, I love that color. I don't have a painting that doesn't have titanium white on it. And I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and bring that color up a little bit. And I'm going to come in here and just very softly If it's too white, put it a little bit more yellow, and I'm just gonna put some highlights here and there. Let the brush do the work. Don't go back and say, oh, it's got too much this, too much that. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do so that all these colors blend. Because I really don't wanna see the pencil lines in my pumpkin. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my red. Whoops, and my plate was getting away from me. And I haven't rinsed my brush, so I'm gonna come back to my little corners here and bring that red down all the way to the front. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that raw umber and bring that color down in here. And now I'm gonna bring my shape. See that? That looks really good. And if you're liking my videos, just shoot me a little email or put something on Facebook and said, hey, Chris, I tried it, and send me a picture. This way I can see that, you know, you're really watching and you're really trying it. That's the whole idea of this. And if there's something that you would like me to try and show you, just let me know. Because I like to play around with a lot of things, so. Okay, so we know this has to be darker up here. And what I want to do is I want to make that yellow. So I'm just going to go over it with my brush and my yellow ochre. And voila, it's looking really good. So now my stem is going to be dark. So I want to take a little bit of that raw umber and my primary magenta, which is the red that we've been using, and my Mars, and I'm mixing them all together to make like a little muddy surface, and then we'll take a little bit of that Terra Verde too. And here I'm gonna come very dark on my stem. This is the darkest part of my stem, and I'm gonna rinse my brush out. And to me it's not dark enough, so I'm gonna come back, pick up a little bit more of this color here and see, oh yeah, much better. Needed to be dark so that you could see there was a little stem. See that? And I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and put that right here in the middle with some white. Wow, that looks really good. Okay, so now we're going to just fix this here in the middle, and we'll put our, we have to ground this little pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my light magenta just as it is, and my Mars yellow, and I'm going to turn it over because I'm right-handed, so I can't, and I'm going to come here and, whoops, and I'm going to make that come out in a curve. See that? And turn your project. Don't feel afraid to turn your project. You know, a lot of times people say, oh, I see this person painting standing up. Well, you know what? I've been painting for 35 years, and I cannot paint without moving my surface around. Everybody's different. Some people can do it. God bless them. They can do it. I can't. So I'm going to come here. But if you notice, I'm not putting thick layers of anything on my pumpkin. You can make a work of art out of anything. And the softer you go, the better it's gonna look. So here to me, it's too dark. I'm gonna rinse my brush completely, right? Because I don't want that dark showing there. And I'm just gonna walk it out with my brush and get rid of it. See, just because it goes on the first time doesn't mean that it's gonna be perfect, right? So now I'm gonna take my straight light magenta, primary magenta, and I'm gonna come in here and give it a wash to get rid of those little white areas here on my canvas. See that? And we're almost done. It's looking really good. Let me just round this up a little bit more over here. Cool. Now let's see this area here. I don't like it. Take a look back and see, I don't really like the way that looks. So I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my white, and I'm going to come up here and just brush it on there a little bit to highlight it. To me, it needed to be a little bit lighter. It was too dark. So, and then here we're going to make this a little bit darker coming up. And I'm just brushing very slow. Okay, I like that. I really do. Okay, so for the ground, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of water, just clear water. I rinse my brush out, and I'm just going to put a little bit of water here, and I'm going to tilt it a little bit so you can see it better. And I'm going to come here and just put a little bit of water on there so that we know how dark we want to make it. And I'm going to take a little bit of my raw umber, and I'm going to start here and work into those little crevices of my pumpkin. And then I'm going to walk it out. Now, I want to make that darker, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to get rid of all those little lines there because I don't want those strong little lines on my pumpkin. I want it dark, but I don't want those lines to be the main attraction. So now we know we have some brown on here, right? I'm gonna wipe my brush clean. Show you, just wipe it. No water, nothing. And I'm gonna take a little bit of my Terra Verde. When you take colors that you've been working on your project and you put them on the bottom, it's gonna reflect to each other. So I'm going to take a little bit of Terra Verde and a little bit of that raw umber, and I'm going to come down here, and what it does is it almost gives me like a army green, right? Doesn't it look like a little bit of, but it's not harsh and it's not in your face. And then for the edges here, what I do is I very softly walk it out. That's what I call it, walking it out. And voila. And there you have it. So a lot of people ask me, oh, if at the end, what do you do when, when you're done? Well, you give it to a friend, you hang it up, you sell it, you do whatever you want, but enjoy it. Enjoy your painting. Don't put negatives in your head and say, oh, I wish I could paint like her. No, I wish I could paint like I want to paint. Don't ever wish you could paint like somebody else. Wish to paint like you want to paint. Just learn the techniques from all the teachers. There's a lot of good teachers around there. I have a lot of videos that you can watch that are free. So in today's world, you don't have to travel hundreds of miles to take a class like I did way back in the day. So I'm going to leave it alone. Oh, no, I'm not. That little area there, I'm just going to take a little bit of my light, my primary magenta, and I'm just going to give it a little wash. Because to me it was too blah. See how cool that looks? I'm very happy with the way this pumpkin looked. So again, thank you for watching, everybody. And check my other videos on my YouTube channel, Chris Cruz Designs, or go to my website, Chris Cruz Designs, or email me, chriscruzdesigns@gmail.com. And let me know what you think. And everybody have a great fall and an awesome Thanksgiving. And I'll see you at the next video. Thank you for watching.